this all didn't happen by accident. There was many issues that happened along the way to get to starting with an 8-40 record, being the first team to lose those 40, having the worst record in the league. And for the first time this season, we got to hear from general manager Bill Schmidt. Mike Klis sat down with him earlier this week.
Bill Schmidt, general manager of the Colorado Rockies. Thanks for spending time with us.
Michael, thank you.
Right on. You know, you see this on a nightly basis, and you see it, especially Yankees coming to town. It's going to be near sellouts. This is the best sports market in America. And the fan base, I think they deserve better.
I don't disagree. They're good people. They're very loyal. How we're playing right now is not acceptable. But I do think there's a good future going forward with some of our young players.
How did this happen, where you're at right now?
Probably a perfect storm, and I'd talk about this year. Some guys we were counting on. First, probably some injuries. We lost Tovar for a good month. Estrada, who we had planned on being our second baseman, he's hopefully going out on a rehab this week. So we're probably 10 days away from him joining us. And then we had some guys not perform. McMahon had probably the worst April you could have. He's played better in May. So a combination of things.
How much responsibility, you guys fired Buddy, and since then you've been 1-7, and so now the target is kind of shifted to your back. Right. You know that.
No,
I
realize. Ultimately I am responsible for the players we put on the field. And, I have a lot of respect for Buddy. Buddy's a good baseball man. We got to a point where we needed to change the voice a little bit in the clubhouse. I do think good things are going to happen. Yeah, we've lost some tough games. The road trip could have been easily 3-3, right? The first game in Texas, we have first bases loaded, 1 out, and we hit in the double play. In the last game in Arizona, we get a pop-up and a strikeout. Or a line drive, Tolia hits the line drive right to Padermo at shortstop. So very easy could have been 3-3. I think we're playing with a lot more energy, and we're playing with some young guys. And my whole objective this year was really to grow and get better, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah. I said you have the target on your back. I think there's one other guy that has maybe a bigger bullseye, and that's your boss, the owner, Dick Monfort. If I pick up the paper, I'm on the comments on social media, which I look at. I'm sure you don't, but Dick needs to sell the team. What do you say? What do you say to that?
I think Dick's one of the better owners in the game. I have a lot of respect for Dick.
Why? Does he give you the resources you need? Why do you say that?
He's very, there's loyalty there. There's a backing. He cares a lot. We get stuff every year. We're adding. We're getting better. We're farther along. I think he is. I think he's a good owner, and he deserves better. And we've talked about it internally, trying to really win for him.
And it's you are 20th in payroll, I guess, gross, if you will. Mm-hmm. Kris Bryant, though, there's your highest paid player by far, just hasn't been able to get on the field for you the last 3-4 years. How much, he's kind of been like the symbol, so to speak, of what's gone wrong with this organization the last couple of years.
It's injuries, and those are things, and Kris is dealing with a back injury you really can't control. Hopefully Kris gets healthy. We'll see what happens there. But, from I know Kris wanted to, do well. He just physically hasn't been able to get on the field. And we'll see what the future brings from that standpoint.
How about maybe seeking outside help, or, because everyone talks about how Tampa Bay, without a payroll, succeeded. They're struggling this year. They got stadium problems or whatever. But what about, bringing in outside pair of eyes or ideas?
And we have, and we do. Now, do we talk about them or vocalize who they are? But we've added people from the outside. Even somebody say like, hey, Clint Hurl. But Clinton was gone for 12 years before he came back, and he'd been 2 other organizations, right? He'd been with Texas when they went to the World Series. He'd been with the Pirates. So he brought in a different perspective, knowing what we've done. But we don't talk about it. But we do bring in other people. There might be a scout here or a player development guy there. Or, So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things go on that we don't talk about.
Okay. And then in Clint's case, he understands, a guy from the outside, maybe one reason why you wouldn't bring in someone from the outside is this place and winning with altitude. When I left the humidor was a big deal, trying to combat the altitude. Is that still there, kind of lurking? That's like the elephant in the room still, that it's tough to win when you play here?
I think we've had winning teams here through the years, right? You can go to 07, 08, 09, and then in the teens we've had some success. There's no doubt there's physical wear and tear, and different than football, and some of the other sports, because we're here for 7 or 10 days.
Yeah.
Then we go out and then we come back, and we're playing every night. So the wear and tear and what it does physically, that's real, and that's not going to change here. Where football, it's one game, once a week type thing. So that's something we got to combat. The wear and tear, what it takes to the pitcher, and the effort to try to create spin. You point the humidor. Yeah, the humidor helped from that standpoint.
The minor league system, want to tell us about it. Albuquerque, I was looking at their roster, and it still seems like, and this is what the Rockies used to do all the time, more older veteran players at the AAA level, and your real top prospects maybe at AA. Is that still kind of the way you're?
No, actually, this year we've had some older guys maybe in the bullpen help out, but actually this year we've had some younger guys. Now with our injuries, we had to bring some guys up here. So I don't know if there's a true indication of Albuquerque. I think they're 5 games under 500 right now. Yeah. But Sterling Thompson's down there, Zach Veen's down there, Bernabal, Fulford, Romo just got there. He broke a hand in spring training, so he just got there. The Blaylocks, trying to go, Palmquist, who's going to throw for us, who we brought up to make a start, had been in the rotation. So really, we've had more probably younger kids on that roster this year than we normally have had.
Yeah, and you've had, out of necessity, you've had to maybe rush guys up for, a little bit, Veen being one guy, Amador. Talk about some of the young guys, though. Dolander, Beck, Goodman. There is, for the fans, there is reason to show up. And
I do. I think I said it earlier, I think, growth is real important. I think if you look back these first 2 months, I'd say Hunter Goodman, probably our all-star for our club this year. He's done a real good job. He's, in the 290s, he's driven in some runs. If you look for where he was a year ago to where he is now. Jordan Beck was a kid that struggled out of the gate. We made the switch, as you talked about, with Veen. And then he came back up with Doyle's situation, and has really played well the last month. So those are 2 of the younger guys. Again, Tovar, we can talk about. He's 23 years old. Yeah. He's one of the better shortstops. And,
a vet already.
Yeah, with 3 years. Same thing with Doyle. He's dealt with some physical things, but I think we do have some young guys. You talk about Dolander. I think he's one of the better younger pitchers. And as you said, he's learned to pitch here, which is a challenge. Learning how to pitch on the road and then how to make the adjustments when you come here. And the other kid I'd say would be Palmquist we brought up. We'll find out, where he goes. But we brought some young kids up, and there's more to come.
How much does it hurt? How much does it bother you when, you read you're on pace to be one of the all-time worst?
Oh, it's frustrating. It's embarrassing. I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad for, you talk about our ownership group. I feel bad for them. They're the people that work in this ballpark I feel bad for. I feel responsible. I do think we're going to get better as it goes here. Well, we're in a gauntlet of games who we played this month.
Yeah, it's a tough homestand, man.
It's a tough home. It's been a tough month. Outside of Texas, I think they were right at 500. Everybody else is really playoff caliber teams. But I think going forward as the summer goes along and our younger guys settle in a little bit, I think we're going to see some positives and some of the growth. I think, and I'll go back to Warren Schaefer and the coaching staff and the changes we made. I think the energy, the work ethic that's going on, the early work prior to that night's game, those are all positive that are going to help us going forward.
General manager, you always have to keep an eye on the future, what's best for the Rockies to win next year, the year after, to be a World Series contender in 2 or 3 years. But at the same time, you gotta try to fix what's going on right now. How do you balance that? What kind of plans do you have this year versus keeping an eye on the?
There's no doubt. There's a balance. There's some guys here that you look at. Do they need to step back? Maybe go back to the minor leagues, to reshuffle, because you don't want guys to lose confidence as they struggle here. And it's a balance act. And then who's ready to maybe give it the next chance to? Because we do have some young guys coming that, you know, our fans could see later in the summer.
Take a panoramic view here in the baseball economic system. I know it seems like these last 3 years have coincided. I'm not sure how much you pay attention to this, but the regional sports network pretty much collapsed on you guys to where you lost a lot of revenue. You're now getting a fraction of what you used to get from Root and AT&T. And that has caused, you know, Dick to cut payroll. And has that been a big factor?
Well, it factors in. There's no doubt losing the revenue and with the regional sports, but we're no different from other organizations too. And we've had a balance, and you made some decisions on getting contracts on some guys with the idea maybe you're going to go this route, but you know, you made some adjustments. But those are a lot of other things that are out of my control.
Yeah. Do you have any input on the economic system that is clearly broke in baseball? I come from the NFL, where the Green Bays and the Kansas Cities, you know, go for the Super Bowl every year. That's not the case in baseball.
No, it's not, and we'll see what happens in this next CBA and in 27.
Yeah, okay.
What comes about. But there's a lot more people that have a lot intelligent than I am that are going to be dealing with that.
In the meantime, what do you tell the fans here? It's late May. Yankees are coming to town.
You know, I feel their pain. Trust me, I'm embarrassed how we've played and how, you know, what's transpired. But I do think some good things are going to go on here. I think we do have some good young players that are fun to watch, and there'll be more that'll join here as the summer goes.
Bill, thank you. You've been a
Mike,
real gentleman. All right.
My pleasure, Mike.